The Eagles are just devouring the Giants. And it is A.J. Brown again! Another touchdown!
Welcome back to the Link lineup. It's a dead period, so there's not much to talk about. So we're going to have to make some shit up on the fly and cover the very few news we had to talk about. So today we're going to talk Kevin Byard because that's relevant. We're going to talk Fletcher Cox apparently retiring. We're doing Eagles mock draft, and we're going to play Jeopardy once again because Jeopardy worked so well last time. So let's get started with Kevin Byard is no longer an Eagle. This week, I think it was Thursday or Friday, they announced that they were going to cut Kevin Byard. And it'll save us $14 million in cap space. So I just want to take a brief moment of our time to thank Kevin Byard for his contributions for the great organization. Anybody want to say anything about him?
I mean, yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, to me, he wasn't like the worst thing that could ever happen. But I mean, obviously, when you trade for a safety like that in the middle of the year, you're expecting him to come in and make a lot more plays than he actually did. The only one I can really think of is the interception against the Chiefs, and other than that, didn't do much. Wasn't a great tackler either. So not a whole lot of good you could say about him.
Yep. I think the one thing I gotta say was, remember that time when we traded for him and we were like, this is going to do it. This is going to solidify us as Super Bowl contenders, and then nothing happened. But yeah,
it kind of reminds me of the Golden Tate trade from a few years back. Like, we thought he was going to have a lot more of an impact than he did, and I mean, thankfully we didn't give up a whole lot for him. But I mean, I'm glad we took the chance. I'm glad we tried, but it definitely flopped.
Yeah, and speaking of Golden Tate, this is a part of now of a list of how he trades the deadline that just didn't pay off. Thinking of Jannard Avery, who was last year? Oh my God, I'm drawing a blank. DN, Robert Quinn. Got it. Didn't work out. I already said Jannard Avery, right?
Yeah.
Golden Tate. Yeah, all of them. Jay Ajayi worked out. Remember him? That was a nice little pickup in midseason, but overall, just he's not batting too well. You know, he's getting sent to the minors at that point. But how he's lucky, he does everything else well because that's just not it. It's just not it. But yeah, Kevin Byard's no longer an Eagle, so that leaves Reed, Sidney Brown, and I don't know if McCullum is like signed for next year, but it seems like we will be adding a safety, whether it be through the draft or through free agency. Anything else about Kevin Byard? Because I know this is going to be pretty quick, just because, you know, what else was there to say?
The good thing to come out of cutting, the good thing about getting rid of him, clears up about $41 million in cap space. That's a lot of money to play around with in free agency, especially having the needs that we do have. We do need on defense. There's a lot of depth at those positions when it comes to like maybe 1 year or 2 year deals. Looking at linebacker and safety, Antoine Whitfield and Xavier McKinney are kind of like the splash signings at safety. But to me, a guy like Cam Curl from Washington would be pretty intriguing. I like his game a lot.
Yeah. then we can take that money that we were going to pay him and go somewhere else with it if you want to. We can do like a 1-for-1 type thing in free agency, or later on we can talk about what we could do in the draft. But yeah, Kevin Byard, see you. Sorry it didn't work out. Wish it did, but
see you, pal.
yeah. Thanks for the memories, man. You go down in history. I guess next, Fletcher Cox is retiring. So apparently a report, I believe it was Fowler, Jeremy Fowler, is that his name? I think so. Anyway, there's a report that Fletcher Cox is going to retire at some point. Yes, it is. At some point this offseason. So that being said, there's a good chance that we lose Fletch to retirement and then Jason Kelsey. And it's crazy just because like that's part of like maybe not your childhood, because I was turning like 16, 17 whenever they were drafted. And I was like in my early 20s whenever they were in the prime of their careers. Not the prime, but like when they're hitting their stride. But like that's what some of us, that's all we know, is names like that. And it's not very often you see players play out their whole year in one city anymore. Typically, whether it's financial issues or they just want to put themselves in the best position to win, they move on somewhere else. But Fletch has been with us since, I believe, 2012. He will definitely be in the Eagles Hall of Fame. I mean, he's a 6-time Pro Bowler, 4-time All-Pro, and of course, a Super Bowl champion. I'm gonna miss him. I expected us to not have him next year, whether it was retirement or he just went to another team in free agency. But it sucks, man. It sucks. I'm gonna miss his little army crawl after a sack. I'm gonna miss his presence. I don't see it, but obviously, like, his presence in the locker room is going to be missed as well. Because I believe you heard like Jordan Davis, like almost like tear up because he knew Fletch was probably gone, and it sucks. It sucks, and I definitely am one of the people that took it for granted his time here, because I was like, it is what it is. He's cool. But now that he's gone, of course, typical thing, is be like, man, I want to miss him. And I am going to miss him though. But yeah, it just sucks to lose people like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I been fortunate to watch a lot of Fletcher Cox's career, and as long as I have been an Eagles fan, he's been like the staple of that defense. So it's definitely sad to see him go, especially when him coming off a year that I thought was one of his better ones, given his age and the amount of snaps he had to play. I'm definitely appreciative of Fletch, and I don't know if he'll ever make the Hall of Fame, but to me, he definitely deserves it, because he was definitely one of, if not the most dominant defensive tackle of the probably later 2010s era and into 2020s.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think it's a shame that he might not get the recognition from non-Eagles fans that he should have, because he happened to play at the same time as Aaron Donald, who kind of ate up a lot of those defensive tackle awards. But the one silver lining I would say to the situation is it is nice that he gets to retire an Eagle. Obviously, I'd rather him stick around, but it would also hurt to see him playing for another team. So it's good to know that we didn't.
Yeah.
It's not like we cut him loose early or didn't want to bring him back,
Right.
and he's suiting up for another team. So.
Yep.
Right.
I don't know if we'll retire his number. I definitely think it'll be one of those situations like LaShawn McCoy, where it's not officially retired, but nobody's going to have it for a while. And like you can't retire everybody's number, but his number definitely is up for consideration for like retirement. May not have had like the impact that Brian Dawkins had, or I mean Donovan McNabb has his jersey retired, but I don't think he's up there with those guys yet. But he's definitely close. But yeah, anything else in closing before we move on to I guess we're going to do a mock draft.
Yeah, I just wonder if he'll stick around the team in any capacity now that he's retired.
It'd be nice.
Like Jason Kelsey has said that he wants to when he eventually retires, whether that's this offseason or next. But it'll be good for him to stick around and be a good influence for some of those younger guys, especially, obviously Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter, which I know they've benefited a lot from having him around.
Yeah, I think it'd be nice. It'd be nice if he does, and I expect it in some way. But we will see. We will see. And yeah, so wrapping that up, it's tough, man. It's tough to talk about anything really because there is nothing going on from like February to like mid-March. Nothing to talk about. Once free agency rolls around, it's going to be a lot easier. But we've already talked about what we're going to what we want in free agency. So we're going to kill some more time. Hopefully make this a fun thing and do a mock draft. We're using Pro Football Network to do it. We're going to do all 7 rounds. And yeah, we'll see what we get. Hopefully it turns out all right. The combine was this weekend. And a lot of these names that you see, you probably saw them or heard of it. So we'll see what we get here. We picked 22nd, and obviously, biggest needs: cornerbacks, linebackers, safeties. We need defense. This trade right here, I don't think I'm going to take it because move back one spot for a fourth round pick next year. That has nothing to do with me right now. We're going to reject both of those. All right, so a couple people that stick out right now. Definitely Chop Robinson, somebody look at. I'm not the biggest Chop guy. I know that's going to be kind of controversial because there are some Chop guys here. I think Bryce is a Chop guy, but I don't necessarily want him. Nate Wiggins had a wonderful 40 time. I think he ran a 4.29. Only issue with Nate is he is kind of skinny. So, when you think of, there goes Bryce. Whenever you think of skinny cornerbacks in the recent memory, I think of Emmanuel Forbes. And what is Emmanuel Forbes known for? Getting absolutely destroyed by AJ Brown. And so I feel like he won't be picked high simply because of his physique, which sucks because I feel like he's a great corner. But I feel like he won't get drafted as high as he would have if he was just a little bit thicker. So then there's Coop from Iowa. We can make the jokes all we want. We can have the jokes flying off the board. First one in, last one out. He plays the game the right way. But all these things are kind of they're kind of true. They're kind of true about him. On here, they have him listed as a safety, but he can play anything. He can play corner. He can play safety. He can play slot cornerback. So he can do it all. I think this would honestly be a perfect fit here. So for that reason, I'm gonna go with Coop. But I'm waiting to see if Bryce can come back here so I can get his input. Bryce is having some technical difficulties, but we'll see. But I'm going with Coop. Show must go on. So right away, if we pick Coop, that's a win in my book. That makes me smile. That makes me happy. won't get the biggest applause like Jalen Carter did last year, because that was an exciting time for me and Bryce. We were together watching it, and we got pumped. We were pumped whenever we saw Jalen Carter come to us. Damn, we just missed out on Xavier Worthy stuff. This, I would honestly take this if this was real, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not doing that either. So we're going to reject both of them. I think Bryce is getting his stuff figured out. Right here, obviously, Howie's drafting here. There is a good chance we pick an alignment at some point. Bryce, can you hear us? Bryce is gone. All right. So Tyler Newman would fit that need. Honestly, would be a wonderful pick here. Then you got Chris Broswell, who would fit the. We're going to pick an edge rusher. Would be a win. Would be a win here with Tyler Newman. Bryce, are you here now?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can't see you.
Well, my camera's messed up for some reason.
All right. We will finish this mock draft, and then we will fix the issue. Or we can just take a brief pause right here, and we'll come back once Bryce figures his shit out. We'll be right back.